All right, so most guitar players practice pretty regularly, all right? They feel stuck. They think effort is going to equal results, but that's not always the case. So listen, if effort alone worked, most guitar players would already be great, right? And that's where the frustration starts. It starts to feel personal. We get frustrated. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Welcome to Mr. Omer's Music Lab, the podcast, episode number 2. Really fast. Quick shout out to everyone that watched an episode 1 or listened, shall I say. It was amazing. Definitely drop a comment if you're on here. If not, put your earbuds in, put your headphones on, go do your laundry, go do your dishes. I know we all have dishes and laundry to do. Let's have some fun. All right, let's talk about this. First, let's kind of address the problem area. Okay? Again, most players, like I said, they're ambitious. They practice pretty regularly, but they still feel stuck. So think about it. Is that you? I know it's been me, and I know it will be me again, but I know how to get out of it. And that's what we're going to try and work on here is building a system. All right, so let's kind of talk about some anchor points here and really think about these. So players aren't lazy. It's not that discipline is a problem, and it's basically no one explained to you how practice works. Even when I took lessons very early on, it was, here's a song, here's some tablature, here's a few chords, a few scales, good luck. Listen, I love my teachers. They were amazing, but there's so many things thinking back that would have really helped me. And again, I put in the effort, I put in the time, I just didn't know how to practice. My system wasn't built. The framework wasn't there. So I would start to blame myself. Oh, we're our own worst critics, right? So really think the toughest something's going to get for us is how tough we are on ourselves. So have a little empathy for yourself. I'd say number 1, guitar is extremely hard. It's a long game. Just accept that. There's no shortcuts to it, okay? But you can practice more efficiently and put a system in place that'll help you. Let's look at some kind of key areas where most practice fails or why it fails. First thing, randomness. Think about this. New riff every day, new YouTube video every morning, midday, afternoon, night. No connection between your sessions. There's no connection between what you just did today, what you're going to practice tomorrow, what you practiced 2 days before that. So too much randomness. You're all over the place. And think about this. Random practice feels productive, right? You're like, oh, I'm practicing. I'm putting in the time. Because you're busy. So you equate that to I'm practicing effectively, but busy isn't better. Let me repeat that again. Busy isn't better. So let's move into another area. Too much, too fast, which comes from the randomness. You're learning too many chords, too many scales, too much theory. You're trying to learn too many songs. And a lot of what I'm putting into this little podcast is all the feedback I've seen from you guys on the channel and all the students I've taught. I've played for over 35 years. I've worked in studios as a session player. I've been in bands. So I'm trying to take all of this knowledge and kind of help framework some ideas for you, all right? So again, you're too random, too much, too fast. And think about this. This is like a pretty key point. Your brain doesn't know what to keep, right? So let's really slowly think about this. Your brain doesn't know what to keep, so it keeps nothing. That's what happens. It's too much. It doesn't know what to keep. It's overwhelmed. You have limited bandwidth. Life is hard enough, all right? Now, here's another one, no clear target. And really, all of these key points tie together. I practiced for an hour, but you didn't have any definitions to your practice. You didn't have any key focus areas. You didn't have any target areas. If I asked you at the end of your practice, you probably couldn't tell me what you were practicing. You could give me a vague idea or a generalized idea, but you probably couldn't put it into a one key point. Okay? So time spent is not the same as progress made, right? You say, I'm putting in a lot of time, right? But that's not the same thing as making a lot of progress, right? So you got to have focus. So let's just kind of think of some of these key points here, and then let's move into what actually works, like the system or the beginning of you frameworking a system. And here's the cool thing, everything we do on our instrument or music or our guitars or whatever, it all transfers over to every aspects of life, right? It's just about being efficient. It's one of my favorite words, efficiency, being efficient. So practice, you're collecting information, you're not making progress. You're practicing, you may be building some ability, but you don't have a framework. You're not being the most efficient that you can within that practice. It's not about learning more things. It's about learning fewer things better. Let me repeat that one more time because this is really important. Practice isn't about learning more things. It's about learning fewer things better. Because depth beats variety every single time. I'd rather focus on one key area and take it deeper than multiple areas at surface level. So let's transition right into what actually works. So these are some ideas. Again, these are just ideas, my basic frameworks that I use that have worked for me, but I promise, make them your own, they'll work for you. So I want you to think of everything you do as tiny little pillars, because your little pillars are what's going to hold up your musical house, right? So for example, let's just say pillar number one is one small musical idea. So here are some key points for that. One pair of chords. Maybe I do G major to E minor. That's it. Just back and forth. Maybe I focus on one triad. Maybe I do one rhythm. So you take one rhythm, and you use those two chords, G to E minor. So let's kind of visualize this just really quick. G on the 3rd fret on the low E, that's where the root is. You can play a G open chord or a G bar chord or a G5 power chord. You move up to the 7th fret and you root the E on the A string. That's an E on the 7th fret. You play an E minor bar chord. You flow rhythmically back and forth between that, okay? You keep flowing. You internalize that rhythm. Rhythm is king. Rhythm is queen always. All right? One position on the neck. Right there. Maybe you do a G open chord, and then right there on the D, G, B string set, you have a G major triad. It's actually inside of the G major bar chord. And I've worked on this so many times, I can just visualize it sitting here with no guitar in my hands. And you guys will think I'm crazy, but maybe not. A lot of times I lay in bed and this is how my brain works. I'll visualize a scale and I'll literally visualize target notes within that scale. But again, I'm just trying to stay really focused. And when I wake up the next day, I go right to the guitar. I have a key focus area and now I'm building my system. I just keep trying to improve it, okay? So pillar number 2 is constraints. Put constraints on yourself. So the key points of that being practice playing in the same key. Maybe you play in the key of G, right? Just play a couple chords within that key. Maybe switch to 2 other chords within that key. This will all connect over time. I preach all the time, connect the dots, connect the dots. It's just tiny little pillars you keep building into bigger pillars. That's it. So maybe you practice a triad on the same string set, and then you practice another triad, just 2 triads on the same string set. String sets are just the way we organize triads. We won't go into that in depth, but again, if you know this, you do. If you don't, you will build your system, you will learn it. You practice on the same area of the neck. These are all just, you're targeting yourself, you're limiting yourself. So let's just take this transition line. Constraints don't limit creativity, they focus it. So what you're doing is you're taking a micro focus and you're going below the surface and you're going deeper, okay? So I want you to try that. You could do it with one chord. Take a G chord and ask yourself this question. Let's just go back to that G chord as we're talking about that. Maybe you say, and drop in the comments if you want to, or if you're just listening, get that laundry done. Do I know how this G major chord was made? What elements made the thing that I'm using? So in that case, it'd be the notes G, B, and D. And maybe you go deeper. You're like, how many G's are in this G major chord from low E to high E? How many B's? How many D's? And that's it. That's actually a G major triad, G, B, D. So that's what I'm saying. This is how it starts to take you to the next level. Okay, pillar number 3, repetition with intention. Listen, everything in life is repetition, right? One of my favorite authors is Malcolm Gladwell. He has this book. I can't remember. You guys drop in the comments if you know. He talks about that 10,000 hours. You know, basically, no matter what you do in life, if you put in 10,000 hours, you're probably going to master that area. You'll still keep growing. You'll never know it all. But you're kind of at an expert or a high advanced level in that area. So repetition is going to drive you there. Same idea over multiple days. Take one idea, constrain yourself to that idea, go deeper over multiple days. Multiple days could be 3 days. 3 to 5 days. Small variations only, okay? Maybe I do that G open chord. Maybe then I go to the G bar chord. Maybe because I'm right there, I play a G major scale on the EAD string set because I'm right there. See how it all ties together? That is an example of going deeper, but constraining yourself to one area of the neck. Okay, the people that don't advance try and flow all over the neck too fast, and then they get frustrated. They see videos of people flowing around the neck with ease, and they wonder why they can't do it. This is why, because you need to stay. You need to constrain yourself and get as deep as you can and then build out from there, okay? But keep adding little variations. So cuz your comfort is going to grow you as a musician, as a guitar player, as an artist, as a person. All right? So like the quick musical examples, which I've kind of been giving them already, G to E minor, right? 2 neck locations. Right there on the 3rd fret, your G, move up to the 7th fret. Got a couple of bar chords, or you can do the open chord G to the E minor bar chord, but flow back rhythmically. Same rhythm, same tempo. Play with a metronome or play without a metronome. I think it's the ultimate thing to play without a metronome when you can. Internalize rhythm, internalize meter. That's how humans play music. There's a little push, there's a little pull, but you're pretty much in the pocket, in the groove, right? So, same idea, new context. That's how muscle memory actually forms. That's what repetition leads to, okay? All right, so let's just kind of wrap this up, just to kind of rehash what we talked about. First of all, you're not behind. You're where you need to be. You're not bad at guitar. Too many of you guys are like, I'm bad, I'm terrible. You guys are way too hard on yourselves. Just let go of that, all right? You're just missing your system. You're just missing a system. That's it. You have talent. I guarantee you're all crazy talented artists, musicians, creators. Great players aren't practicing longer. They're just practicing with more purpose, right? So everything you put into action is learnable. You go deeper. All right? So I want you to take the time to build your system. So if you've been feeling stuck, it's not a motivation problem. It's, like I said, it's a system problem. That's it. So I want you to really think about how you're going to start building your tiny musical pillars. Hopefully you'll stick around if you're new on here. We're going to keep this podcast going. I love talking shop with you guys. It's good to reflect like this too. With a guitar out in my hands, we can talk about music. I loved hearing all your stories. If you're into this kind of thing too, I have a newsletter. It's free. I'll link the newsletter in the comments. Check that out. Okay? And just remember, the only person that can stop you is you. But if you're going to keep going, which I know you are, I want you to put your system in place. All right? So maybe you take that G chord tomorrow morning or whatever time of day it is. You grab your guitar and you go, you know what? What actually made this G chord? Let me go a little deeper. How can I play this G chord a little differently? What's another chord I could connect to this G chord in the key of G? See how that is? Just start reorganizing your thinking, reframeworking your system, or a lot of you don't even have a system at all. All right? Hopefully you enjoyed this podcast. Remember what I said, only you can stop you. You're not going to stop. You're going to keep going. I want you to flow like the jellyfish. Yes, I love jellyfish. I love all sea creatures. Drop jellyfish, your favorite sea creature, in the comments. All right, I'll see you guys in episode 3 every Wednesday morning, Mountain Standard Time, 9 a.m. We're going to keep this thing flowing, and I'll see you on all the other lessons. Check out the content. Thanks for watching. Peace.